Well, let's talk some business now. Digital transformation is no longer a competitive advantage. It is now a business imperative. Well, that was the focus at the Nigerian British Chamber of Commerce Business Innovation Series, where industry leaders urged businesses to make digital innovation a core part of their growth strategy. The event themed Digitizing Business, Building Scalable Future-Ready Enterprises brought together business leaders, innovators, and technology experts who explored how digital transformation is reshaping business models, improving competitiveness, and unlocking new growth opportunities. Speakers stressed that organizations must move beyond viewing technology as a support function and instead make digital transformation a boardroom priority embedded in corporate strategy. President also noted that while artificial intelligence, automation, digital payments, and data analytics are transforming business operations, long-term success will ultimately depend on strong leadership, sound governance, and a digitally skilled workforce.
Business innovation is about finding new and better ways of creating, delivering, and capturing value. And this you could look at in terms of product, process, business model, or the customer experience. Having said that, these are areas that we continue to encourage businesses to do.
We allow them an opportunity to interact with business leaders across different sectors. And you could imagine that the theme for today's session is very apt. One of the major learning points we're able to take from here is the need for organizations to be cyber agile. Meaning that if you have opportunity to onboard 5 million customers today, why don't you prepare to onboard 50 million in the future? Because technology is so dynamic that things are happening at a very fast pace.
Beyond financial services, AI is currently relevant in every aspect of our life. I needed to start off by saying that. Secondly, in terms of how it impacts financial services, I think the biggest leap for AI is how AI is used to transform the large amount of data that the financial service ecosystem is controlling now, transforming it into insight, and from insight into solutions for better delivery or better outcomes for the customer.
Concerns are emerging over Nigeria's new crypto tax guidelines, with Digital Assets Coalition warning they could drive digital assets transactions out of the regulated market. Now, the group insists it is not against taxation, but says taxes should target profits, not every crypto transaction. The coalition argues that current policy could increase costs for businesses, freelancers, and everyday users while discouraging compliance. They are urging government to review the guidelines, saying a profit-based tax model would boost revenue without slowing the growth of Nigeria's digital economy.
% stamp duty is bothersome. It should be changed. And the stamp duty requirements for elder sectors and for the industry, for the economy, should be implemented for the virtual asset sector. The virtual asset sector shouldn't be treated differently. The 1% withholding tax should be on gains, because if an individual makes losses, then they are still having this 1% withholding tax obligation, right? And then remitting taxes in tokens. Taxes should be remitted in the currency of transaction and the currency recognized within that jurisdiction, which in this case, in Nigeria, it is the naira. And tax operators should not be placed with the burden of turning to tax collectors and custodians. Many of them are just on-ramp and off-ramp. They are not withholding or holding anybody's assets. So by the time they are going to collect this tax and then hold it, that have turned to withhold that, a service they have not been structured for, they do not operate. And it's going to create a real issue. And we should learn from other jurisdictions that have tried to implement virtual asset taxes, see what has failed, what challenges did they encounter, and solve it, because it looks like we are going the same direction that they all went. So why do we need to have that same experience when we could easily learn from them?
Well, joining me on the news at 7 is an economist and financial analyst, Dr. Yishau Aliyu, to speak more on this. Dr. Aliyu, thank you so much for joining us on the news at 7. Nigeria has introduced a more comprehensive regulatory framework for virtual assets from an economic perspective. Now, how could these new guidelines influence investor confidence, innovation in fintech sector, and foreign investment into the country's digital economy?
The most important things when you are embarking on economic reform is to look at the basis at which revenue is coming to the government. And in looking at the basis at which revenue is coming to the government, you also look at the rate at which taxes are being fixed, because classical economists, right from Adam Smith, advocated that lower taxes always bring prosperity to businesses, and which also translate to the economy. Looking at that, and then looking at the digitalized economy, and looking at the digitalized world, and looking at the asset attached to digital platforms, there is need for government to put a tax net in the operations, for not just for realizing revenue, but also authenticating the digital asset, and then encouraging people to also have trust in the digital asset, and at the same time also protecting the interest of those who are participating or those who are conducting transactions with the digital asset. Is very paramount, it is important, and it is timely.
Now, while the regulations aim to protect investors and strengthen oversight, some industry players are concerned about the cost of compliance. In your view, do you see these rules, or do these new rules strike the right balance that's between encouraging innovation and ensuring fiscal financial stability, or could they slow the growth of Nigeria's virtual assets ecosystem?
Not 100%, but you know that in trying to introduce the taxes, we are not concerned about taking advantage in the digital asset transaction, and then taking advantage as sources of revenue, which also will now assist the economy. So it's not easy to say that all investors will be happy, because before today, those who are participating in digital asset have been making so much of gains, and it is natural. People, because of the tax apathy, people don't want to pay taxes. But so long as you are using a platform which is also recognized by the system or by law, then definitely certain commitment must be made. And this commitment, like I said in the beginning, our commitment to authenticate the digital asset, to encourage the participant, and also to encourage new investment, because the future of financial transaction must include digital asset, especially the crypto, which many economists are taking advantage of that. The Russian economy is taking advantage of that. The American economy is taking advantage of that. In fact, even in Africa, the South African government is also taking advantage of that. And that is to say that if other economies around the globe are encouraging the digital asset, then Nigeria has to come with law, because at the end of the day, there will.
All right, then, that was a good one. We'll continue the conversation, of course, as always. Dr. Yishau Aliyu there, an economist who joined us live from Abuja. Well, next is entertainment news.